It is the last untouched wilderness on our planet, a continent of extremes locked in an eternal winter. Antarctica. To the world, it is a laboratory for science, a symbol of peace and international cooperation. But to some, it is a prison, a vault where the Earth's most profound and dangerous secrets are kept under lock and key.
For what lies beneath its miles of solid ice is a story that defies our understanding of history. A story of lost worlds, ancient technologies, secret wars, and a cover-up so vast it has been orchestrated by the most powerful nations on Earth.
The Antarctica we know is a frozen desert, but it was not always this way. Science tells us that millions of years ago, this continent was a vibrant, living world.
Paleontologists have uncovered proof, the fossilized remains of vast temperate rainforests just a few hundred miles from the South Pole. They have found the bones of dinosaurs and ancient mammals, evidence of a warm climate where life flourished. This was a world without ice.
But mainstream science places this green Antarctica in a time long before humanity. They say the ice began to form over 30 million years ago, entombing this lost world long before the first human ancestors walked the Earth. But what if that timeline is wrong? What if parts of Antarctica remained ice-free much more recently?
The first clue comes not from geology, but from a piece of animal skin parchment created in 1513. This is the Piri Reis map. Drawn by an Ottoman admiral, it shows the coasts of South America with stunning accuracy. But it is what lies at the bottom of the map that has puzzled historians for a century. A landmass that strongly resembles the coastline of Antarctica, but without its ice cap. In the 1960s, historian Charles Hapgood proposed a radical theory. He argued the Piri Reis map was a copy of much more ancient source maps created by a forgotten, advanced seafaring civilization, a civilization that mapped the world thousands of years ago, at a time when Antarctica's coasts were free of ice.
And Piri Reis wasn't alone. The Orontius Phineas map, drawn 2 decades later, shows the entire continent in detail, complete with mountain ranges and rivers where science has now confirmed they exist, buried beneath the ice. How could 16th century cartographers know this? Mainstream scholars dismiss it as a guess, an attempt to draw the mythical Terra Australis, but the accuracy is too specific, too unsettling to ignore.
Could these maps be a message from the past? A remnant of a lost chapter of human history where a civilization thrived on a green Antarctic continent only to be wiped out by a cataclysmic climate shift that buried their world under miles of ice? This idea, once fringe, would soon attract the attention of the world's most sinister power.
In the late 1930s, as the world teetered on the brink of war, Nazi Germany turned its gaze to the most remote place on Earth. In 1938, they launched a top-secret expedition to Antarctica. The official story was a search for whaling grounds to secure oil for the German war machine. The truth, however, may have been far more ambitious.
Led by Captain Alfred Richer, the expedition surveyed a vast, unclaimed territory, naming it Neuschwabenland, or New Swabia. They photographed over 600,000 square kilometers of land and, according to reports, discovered remarkable features: ice-free areas, warm water lakes, and vast, mysterious caves. But Nazi interest in Antarctica may have gone beyond resources. The highest echelons of the Nazi Party, including Heinrich Himmler, were obsessed with occultism and ancient myths. Societies like the Thule Society believed in a mythical land of Hyperborea and a hollow earth. They searched for the origins of a master race, which they believed stemmed from a lost, technologically advanced civilization. They believe Antarctica was the gateway to this hidden world. After the war, rumors began to spread. Rumors of German U-boats making final, secret journeys to the South Pole. Rumors of a hidden base, Base 211, built in the ice-free oases of Neuschwabenland, a final refuge for Hitler and the Nazi elite, and a laboratory to continue work on their most secret superweapons. Most historians dismiss these claims as pure fantasy. No definitive proof of Base 211 has ever been found. But the actions of the Allied forces after the war suggest they were taking the threat very, very seriously. In 1946, just 1 year after the end of World War II, the United States launched the largest military expedition in Antarctic history. It was called Operation Highjump. The official purpose was to train personnel and test equipment in frigid conditions, but the scale of the operation was staggering. Nearly 5,000 men, an aircraft carrier, 13 support ships, and dozens of aircraft, all led by the most famous polar explorer of the time, Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd. This was not a scientific field trip. This was an invasion force. The mission was planned to last for 6 to 8 months. It ended abruptly after just 8 weeks. The fleet returned to America with reports of damaged equipment and lost lives. The official story cited harsh weather, but whispers from crewmen told a different tale, a tale of engagement with unknown forces. Upon his return, Admiral Byrd gave a chilling interview to a Chilean newspaper. He is quoted as saying it was imperative for the United States to initiate immediate defense measures against hostile regions. He warned of a new enemy that could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Who was he talking about? Remnant Nazi forces in flying saucers? Or something else entirely? Years later, a document surfaced claiming to be the secret diary of Admiral Byrd. Its authenticity is fiercely debated, but its contents are explosive. In the diary, Byrd describes a flight over the North Pole. But many researchers believe the events described actually took place during Operation Highjump in Antarctica. According to this diary, Byrd's plane was intercepted by disc-shaped flying machines. His controls were taken over remotely, and he was guided to a landing in a hidden, lush valley deep within the continent. There, he was met by beings from an advanced underground civilization, a civilization that called their world Agartha. These beings, the diary claims, warned humanity about its use of nuclear weapons. They told Byrd they had watched our surface world for centuries and feared our self-destructive path. After delivering their message, they released him.
Fact or fiction? A hoax or a suppressed truth? We may never know. Admiral Byrd died in 1957, taking his secrets to the grave. But if something was found in Antarctica, something so important that it required a military response and a subsequent cover-up, it would explain the single most unusual political agreement in modern history.
The year is 1959. The Cold War is at its peak. The United States and the Soviet Union are bitter enemies, locked in a nuclear standoff, competing for dominance in space and across the globe. Trust is non-existent.
And yet, in that very same year, these two superpowers, along with 10 other nations, came together to sign the Antarctic Treaty. It was an unprecedented act of cooperation. The treaty declared the entire continent a scientific preserve, banned all military activity, forbade nuclear explosions, and suspended all territorial claims indefinitely. On the surface, it's a beacon of peace, but to conspiracy researchers, the timing is deeply suspicious. Why would the world's most powerful warring nations suddenly agree to make the planet's most resource-rich and strategic continent completely off-limits? Why wall it off from military and commercial exploitation forever?
The conventional answer is to preserve it for science. The alternative theory is far more chilling. The treaty wasn't created to keep people out. It was created to keep something in.
They didn't sign a treaty of peace. They signed a pact of silence. They had all discovered or been shown the same truth that Byrd allegedly encountered. A truth so monumental, be it a lost civilization, alien technology, or a gateway to another world, that they agreed it must be hidden from the public at all costs. The continent was placed under quarantine.
For decades, the secrets of Antarctica remained buried under ice and bureaucracy. But in the 21st century, a new eye opened in the sky. With the advent of satellite imagery and platforms like Google Earth, armchair researchers began to scan the frozen continent from their homes. And what they started to find was unsettling.
The Antarctic Pyramid, a near-perfect four-sided pyramid-shaped mountain that juts out from the ice. Geologists call it a nunatak, a rock peak carved by natural wind and ice erosion. But its symmetry is uncanny, eerily reminiscent of the man-made pyramids at Giza. Is it a trick of nature, or the peak of a much larger artificial structure buried below? In other regions, satellite photos reveal what appear to be massive staircases carved into mountainsides, leading to dark, rectangular openings that look like giant doorways. Geologists explain them away as unusual rock stratifications or ice cave formations, but their geometric regularity defies simple explanation.
And then there is this, an image showing what looks like a massive object that has skidded across the ice before coming to rest. Dubbed
a crashed UFO by online sleuths. Scientists identified it as debris from an avalanche or a simple rockfall. But for many, the evidence points to a controlled landing or a crash, a sign that we are not alone.
The strangeness isn't confined to the rock and ice. Deep in the McMurdo dry valleys, a glacier appears to bleed. Known as Blood Falls, this 5-story crimson waterfall pours from the Taylor Glacier. Science has an explanation. It's iron-rich, salty water from a subglacial lake oxidizing when it hits the air. But the sight is so alien, so unnatural, it fuels speculation of something more. A discharge from a hidden underground facility or a biological process unknown to science.
Even the waters around the continent are home to chilling legends. Japanese research crews have reported sightings of enormous, pale humanoid creatures in the Southern Ocean. They call it the Ningen, described as being up to 30 meters long with arms and hands. It lurks beneath the icebergs. Is it a new species of whale or a guardian of the Antarctic depths?
Perhaps the greatest mystery of all lies in what we cannot see. Buried under 2.5 miles of ice is a hidden world of more than 400 subglacial lakes, connected by a network of rivers. They have been sealed off from the surface for millions of years.
The most famous is Lake Vostok, a body of fresh water the size of Lake Ontario. It has been isolated for an estimated 15 million years. In this pitch-black, high-pressure, oxygen-rich environment, scientists believe life could exist, but in forms completely alien to us. When Russian scientists finally drilled through to the lake's surface in 2012, the project was plagued by setbacks and secrecy. What are they so afraid of finding?
In other, more accessible subglacial lakes, scientists have already found thriving ecosystems of extremophile bacteria. But the biggest lakes, like Vostok, remain largely unexplored. Could they harbor more than just microbes? Could they be the home of the Agarthan civilization Byrd spoke of? A hidden biosphere that has evolved in total isolation from our own?
This raises a terrifying question. The continent is governed by strict protocols to prevent contamination from the outside world. But is this to protect Antarctica's fragile ecosystem, or to protect us from what might get out?
Today, the great secret keeper is in jeopardy. Antarctica is melting. The Antarctic Peninsula is one of the fastest warming places on Earth. As the ice thins and retreats, the land beneath is being exposed for the first time in millennia. The quarantine is failing. The vault is beginning to open. What will we find as the ice gives way? The ruins of a lost civilization? The entrance to an underground world? Wreckage of non-human technology? The story of Antarctica is a mosaic of disconnected pieces. A map from a 16th century admiral, a secret Nazi expedition, a massive U.S. military operation that ended in mystery, a global treaty that defies political logic, strange shapes on satellite images, and monstrous legends from the deep. Taken alone, each piece can be explained away, dismissed, rationalized. But when you put them all together, a pattern emerges. A pattern of sustained high-level interest and intense secrecy, spanning decades and involving the world's most powerful players.
They tell us Antarctica is an empty, dead continent. But all the evidence suggests the exact opposite. It is a place of profound importance. A place that holds a truth that powerful forces have gone to extraordinary lengths to control.
Now, as the climate changes, control may be slipping from their grasp. The final chapter of Antarctica's story may soon be written, not by governments or secret societies, but by the melting ice itself. And when it reveals what it has been hiding, it may not just rewrite our history, it may define our future. The secrets of the frozen continent will not remain buried forever.